What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. I'm your host, Mason Kinahan, and tonight it is 12:44 a.m. I just hit record. I'm going to see what happens because the Washington Commanders are going to the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1991. This was easily my most favorite game I've ever watched in my entire life. The Commanders beat the Detroit Lions in Detroit at Ford Field 45-31. 45-31. 45 points. 38 coming from this offense. Like, it is insane what this team has done compared to expectations going into this year. 12-5 heading into the playoffs. Now 2 weeks in a row. Jayden Daniels doing it time and time again. We'll get into that in a little bit. We've got this defense stepping up. We'll get into that as well. But first of all, I kind of just want to talk about the Washington guys. The Washington Commanders have just completed one of the biggest upsets in NFL history. All right, in NFL playoff history, pretty much one of the biggest. All right, the Commanders going into this game 9.5-point underdogs. I think was what the final line was, somewhere around that, and coming out victorious by 2 touchdowns was insane. That second quarter, guys, that second quarter, oh my goodness. The back and forth these two offenses went, the interception, the pick six from Quan Martin, it was insane. My prediction, I'll just lay it out flat. My prediction going into this game was 36-31, Lions win. All right. And I mean, maybe I'm just never gonna bet against Jayden ever again. I think I've learned my lesson. I'm betting on Jayden every time he goes out there onto the field because this team, I mean, we knew it, right? Anytime 5 is out there, this team has a chance. I've said it this entire season, and I truly believed it too. In the preview pod, I said this team's got a real shot at winning this game, and I would not be entirely surprised, even though I thought it was more likely they lost than they won, they would win this game. I would not be surprised if they ended up winning this one. And I mean, you just look at it, right? The Commanders just shocked the Super Bowl favorites here in the playoffs. The Super Bowl favorites, the team that has been one of the best all season long at 15-2. A team that has the number 1 offense in the entire league. A team that has somehow still managed to have a top 10 defense despite all of the injuries. And now, and a team that is led by one of the fan favorites, head coaches. A team that has a ton of just fans supporting them, especially at this time when they're finally finding success. They got all the momentum, but then this Commanders team rolls up. And they're like, "Hey, Detroit, we've got a lot of momentum and a lot of fans behind us as well." And I mean, this team, Jayden, the defense, Joe Witt, Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, Terry, Bobby. I mean, the list goes on and on. Just the guys that have just made plays in this game, and stepped up in big moments. Like, who thought I mean, I guess we'll get into the Diami thing in a little bit, but who thought that Diami Brown would have such a big game over the last 2 games, a breakout in year 4 for him? Guys on the 1-year rookie contracts, Bobby Wagner, Jeremy Chin, getting stuff done, right? And making plays. I mean, it is so crazy what this team has kind of just done this season, and especially recently when they're playing. Especially, this was the best game of football I've seen this team play all year. They let up 31 points to the Detroit Lions, and I still think that this is the best game that the Commanders played all season. They turned the ball over 4 times. They, on offense, scored 38 points. All right, we look at the kind of the play-by-play here and the drives for Washington. Turnover on downs, but then after that, field goal, touchdown, 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 touchdown. Field goal, touchdown, 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 punt, touchdown, touchdown, and a missed field goal. But look at that. You have a run of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touchdown drives on 5 out of 6. in the middle of the game, you're just going down, marching down the field every single play. And I mean, you look at this team and just like where this team was just a year ago. A year ago, we're looking at a Senior Bowl coming up. Who's going to be the quarterback? Is Jayden Daniels going to be in Mobile? Will Bo Nix or Michael Penix be a guy, or Caleb Williams or Drake May? That's where we were a year ago. We're like, man, 4-13. Who's going to be our head coach? Who's our head coach? We were looking. We all wanted this time last year. We all wanted the guy that we just beat as our head coach, Ben Johnson. And look at Dan Quinn. Look at Dan Quinn. All right. I think some of us were a little reactionary when Dan Quinn was first hired, but seems to be the right move. I mean, and Ben Johnson, thank you for turning the plane around, because I'd rather have what I have right now than Ben Johnson as my head coach. Yeah, Ben Johnson flashy plays and all, but I mean, what Dan Quinn has built with the culture and the winning mentality, anybody, anywhere, anytime, or anytime, anywhere, something like that. And then so many others. Our time, like there's just so much stuff that Dan Quinn has brought to this city and to this area in the DMV, and pulling out a win like this, moving on to the NFC Championship, just spectacular. It is insane what this team has been able to accomplish. I came into this week thinking, all right, this is a bonus. We win this game, this is a bonus. But after the way that Washington was able to win this game, don't want to get things started here, but I'm just saying. I know Rams Eagles is later today as when this episode comes out, but both of those games are kind of manageable. Just saying, both those teams are kind of beatable if you are the Washington Commanders, especially if Washington plays how they played in this one. Yeah, they let up 31 points to the Lions, but I feel like that's a win. All right, this team was able to turn them over 4 times. So, I mean, let's just jump right into it. Jayden Daniels. All right. Let's see. You can see on the headline. I'm running out of words here to describe this guy. 22 of 31, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, 0 sacks, a QBR of 91.8, a passer rating of 122.9. Jayden Daniels has saved this franchise, now with the help, of course, some other guys up top. But Jayden Daniels has single-handedly mostly turned this team around, especially on offense. The composure, the poise that he has, right? When all of these drives, anytime you saw the camera cut to him tonight, you saw him just staring kind of off into the distance, kind of in his own world. All right, while the Ford Field fans are kind of going bonkers after a big play from Jameson Williams or a big play from Jared Goff or Jahmyr Gibbs. So, we can't really say enough about his composure and stuff. Everyone's kind of talked about it, but also just how he delivers, right, in the big moments. I told you 5 out of 6 drives in the middle of this game, Washington went all the way down the field and scored a touchdown. You don't see that from a rookie quarterback. And it's almost time to get rid of that rookie title for him, because, I mean, of course, he's not playing like a rookie right now. Dan Campbell, after the game, was asked, were you expecting Jayden Daniels to play like a 10-year vet tonight? Dan Campbell said, yeah. The tape said so. And, I mean, he wasn't lying. Jayden Daniels went out there. He delivered every facet of the game. He also had 16 carries, 51 yards on the ground, multiple 4th and 2 conversions. Look at this offense, right? Look at this offense. Don't look at the 4th down. There were 4 of 12 on 3rd down. But look at the 4th down. 3 of 4 on 4th down for this offense. I mean, look at this game. A lot of, just side note, like, everyone thought that they were going to be going for it on 4th down every time. 6 4th downs attempted in this one, which I guess is still a lot, but I don't know, maybe a little bit less than what I expected. But I guess just the offenses were rolling all night long. You didn't really need the 4th downs. But how about this Washington team? 28-point quarter in the second quarter, led by Mr. Jayden Daniels. You had the pick 6, but also the 3 touchdown drives as well. I mean, Jayden has really kind of put a city on his back, and ever since he was drafted, there was some controversy, especially that week leading up to him being drafted. But ever since he put on that the black cap with the Commanders logo on it in Detroit when he was first drafted, it's been nothing but go since. All gas, no brakes for this team. And I mean, from the day he was named the starter to the day he made he made his preseason debut to his regular season debut, and you could just tell how quickly he picked up on the pace of the game, and how the NFL game is played differently than college, and what he needed to improve on. You could see that first week against Tampa when he kind of struggled. You could start to see him figure it out against the Giants. Now you look here. I mean, this guy is playing like I'm not one of. We're out of the rookie combos now. We are out of the rookie combos. This is, in my opinion, and I think it should be consensus now, this is the best rookie quarterback season we've seen of all time. But now I think it's, oh, where does Jayden Daniels rank among all the quarterbacks now? Not just the rookies, but this guy is playing like a top 5 quarterback in the entire National Football League. He's going to be in the top 5 in MVP voting when NFL honors rolls around in a couple of weeks. This guy knows what to do at any given moment, and he knows how to deliver. And he's been spectacular for this team over the last month or so. And I mean, over the course of really the entire season, but especially in the last month or so. When this guy is on the field, he delivers. And that is what has happened with Jayden Daniels. I mean, well, I gotta point out one throw that I thought was one of the best throws I've seen from him this season. The drop in the bucket from Daniels to De'Ami Brown in the right corner, or it was like a kind of like a deep crosser, but to the right side, and that was in the air for what felt like forever, and it felt like it was a perfect pass to be intercepted, but it goes right into the hands of De'Ami Brown, who made an incredible catch as well with the hand in his face. I don't even think he saw the ball when it arrived, but I mean, the guy, his accuracy when under pressure is insane. You look at kind of just his numbers overall. It's just jaw dropping what you're seeing from a guy who was a year ago. I mean, claiming a Heisman Trophy, and I mean, trying to get LSU into the playoffs. Jayden Daniels today had a 0.45 EPA per play, which is 91st percentile, total EPA of 20.5, 95th percentile, completion percentage over expected of plus 6.2, which is 75th percentile, expected quarterback rating of an 82.3. I mean, this guy was insane today. He was, I mean, the Commanders, when they passed the ball early, 0.57 EPA per play on first and second down passes. Incredible. But third and fourth down passes, 0.62 EPA per play, insane. Like the numbers that Jayden had, and how he kind of just elevated this offense week in and week out has been so fun to watch. It has been a blast to see him improve over this season, and really, I mean, take it like, guys, like, it's only 2 games away. It is only 2 games away. I mean, this run, I saw Grant Paulson say it on Twitter. 2018 Caps, 2019 Nationals. This is what it feels like right now. A team, both of those teams, I don't think were top at all in the top seed or the President's Trophy or the pen, or I don't know what MLB calls their top seed or whatever. But I mean, this team has a 6 seed, has come around and has beat the 3 seed, the 1 seed, and now will play either the 2 or the 4 seed, which they already beat the 2 seed this season. So, I mean, yes, this is getting a little real now. All right, I know underdogs coming into this playoff run, but I mean, you win this game against the Lions. This team is running all the momentum going into whoever they play at LA, at Philly next week. It's going to be a fun one to watch, and Jayden Daniels has been the main catalyst for it on the field. It's been really fun to watch him play. And I mean, even today, he took some big hits out there. just got up, kept on going. Sometimes, I mean, a little bit in the run game, he got more lateral, I will say, um, more left and right, sideways sometimes, but it felt like he was giving up yardage. But I mean, he was still picking up 3-4 yards, and that's what I talked about in the preview pod. One of the biggest weapons with Jayden Daniels is not only his ability on the ground to run very far, very fast, but just his ability to scramble out of the pocket and just pick up 3-4 yards when nothing is there down the field. You turn a negative play or just a neutral play. Well, really a negative play, right? Is an incompletion. You lose a down. You don't really gain anything. Into a positive play. You pick up on a 1st and 10. Instead of making a 2nd and 10, you pick up 4 yards. It is 2nd and 6 through his legs. It's so much easier. Multiple times in this game where it was just like, you need a couple yards. You can make it easier by taking off and running. So multiple 4th down and 2s converted from this Washington offense. But the Washington offense was not the only unit that I need to praise today, because this defense from Joe Witt, Dan Quinn, and company on the defensive coaching staff, props to them. Props to the defensive coaching staff on getting their guys prepared for this game. I was heavily worried about this Washington defense. And I mean, the Lions put up 31 points still against this Washington defense. And I mean, okay, 31 points. I got Jayden Daniels who can score 38. So I'm not too worried about that. But also, the young guys in the secondary, Quan Martin in his 2nd season, had a big time pick 6 early on to basically swing the momentum onto Washington's side, give them a 10-point lead. Mikey Sainristil, how about Sainristil, guys? Mikey Sainristil with 2 interceptions, the rookie out of Michigan, getting it done. One of them was on pass to the end zone to Jamison Williams in the closing final 2 minutes. The Lions could get a lot of momentum going into halftime with a touchdown, and Jared Goff just a hitch late and a little bit behind Jamison Williams, doesn't loft it up, and Mikey Sainristil takes advantage. And then Sainristil, Dan Quinn said it during his post-game press conference, Sainristil rarely gets fooled. He's not one to get fooled, and Sainristil was not. When I tweeted about, I was dreading when Ben Johnson was going to bring out some crazy trick play, inevitable trick play in the 3rd quarter or early 4th quarter. And I mean, they were going to score a touchdown on it, which they scored a touchdown on, like a reverse to Jamison Williams, but not too worried about that. But like late on in the game, when you can really, morale can get drained on a big trick play like that. I mean, Ben Johnson brought it out. A Jamison Williams like double reverse pass to Jahmyr Gibbs, and Williams, instead of running it, which I think that's what Dan Campbell wanted him to do in the post-game press conference, he kind of like leaned to that. But instead of running it, Jamison Williams tosses it inaccurately down the field, and Mikey Sainristil falling backwards makes a big-time interception. Sainristil has been on a complete another level in the last few weeks, and these 2 interceptions for the rookie today just shows just how good he's going to be, not only when he maybe goes back to his natural position in the slot, but also just over the next few years in general, whether he plays outside or inside. The guy has been balling, and you just love to see it. Love to see it. So great stuff from Sainristil. Jeremy Chin as well with an interception. Jared Goff threw 4 interceptions, plus they had the fumble earlier as well. Like, I mean, this is insane. This is, I mean, when was the last time we saw something like 5 turnovers forced by this defense in a game? Frankie Louvu and Dorrance Armstrong teaming up to get a fumble recovery early on once the Jared Goff and company were driving into Commander's territory. And then the 4 interceptions from Goff in this game. I mean, we saw rookie Goff tonight. He cannot elevate an offense when he needs to win games. He cannot elevate an offense, and that's what we saw. Goff has been so good this season when he has been called on to win games, except in this one. And this one we kind of saw a backtrack of what Goff used to be. We used to be play like, and maybe who he ultimately is someone in this game when everything isn't perfect, when the run game is kind of struggling. Which shout out to the defensive line and the front 7. All right, Jahmyr Gibbs. Let me grab it. Jahmyr Gibbs, 14 carries for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I feel like that's even holding him. He averaged 7.5 yards per carry, but I felt like that was kind of good. David Montgomery kind of stole carries from him, and I think that was kind of big in this one. With Montgomery back, Gibbs got less touches. Montgomery, 7 carries for 28 yards, averaging only 4 yards per carry. I'd rather have that than Jahmyr Gibbs getting the ball every time. So big stuff from those guys. The Lions are the first team in NFL history to lose a playoff game after passing for 300 yards and rushing for 200 yards. That's a rough one to swallow. Some other notables I want to shout out in this game. De'Ami Brown, 6 catches, 98 yards. Let me read to you this quote. You guys know which one I'm reading. You guys know who it's from. The Commanders, they got a guy before me over there. I believe his name is De'Ami Brown. I don't forget things like that. I see him across the sideline from where I'm standing during the game. I'm going to give every team hell. You guys know who said that a couple years ago. And who he was talking to. Let me just say, yes, that player outgained De'Ami Brown in this game, but De'Ami Brown, good revenge game. 6 catches for 98 yards. The De'Ami Brown breakout was not expected. Got to be one of the least expected things to happen in this playoff run, but it really is here. Brown in back-to-back games, having massive games. Terry McLaurin, we got to shout this guy out for not getting tackled by the laces. That's been something that has been a problem for him this entire season, it feels like. He always gets tackled by the shoelaces. But on a screen pass, Terry McLaurin goes 58 yards to the house. I mean, I'll take that. I'll take that. He showed off that 4.3 speed that he ran and the 40-yard dash. Not what 8 years ago. So loved what I saw there from Terry. Austin Eckler had 4 catches for 41 yards. Zach Ertz 5 for 28 yards and a touchdown, coming back from he was in concussion protocol early on in the game. And so that's kind of big. A big game from him. Jamison Crowder, 2 catches for 25. John Bates, a big catch for 20 yards, helped take off a lot of time late in the game, late in the fourth quarter with a big first down. So loved what I saw from those guys. Also, I mean, Brian Robinson on the ground. Shout out him. 15 carries, 77 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaging over 5 yards per carry. We have not seen that Let me read out his stats. Brian Robinson in the last few games, 10 carries for 16 yards, 5 carries for 10 yards. And then if you take out that Atlanta game, 10 carries for 24 yards. So, I mean, it has been a struggle in recent weeks for Brian Robinson, but a big game here from him. 15 carries for 77 yards, 2 touchdowns. Great stuff. I already mentioned Jayden Daniels on the ground, 16 carries for 51. Austin Eckler, 6 carries for 47 yards, averaging 7.8 yards per carry. And how about Jeremy McNichols, 4 carries for 8 yards, but he also scored the last touchdown of this game as well. So, I mean, this team delivered. It delivered in all facets on offense. Mikey Sanders still, those young guys in the secondary stepped up. Those guys on the front 7, Dorrance Armstrong getting a strip sack. You had Frankie Louvu out there getting some big tackles. How about Marshawn Lattimore? We barely heard his name. I'll have to look at the stats in this one, but I feel like he had a pretty good game in this one. He had let me find it. He had five tackles, which was tied for 4th most on the team. 5 tackles, and I felt like this guy was a lot more physical. He had a tackle for loss. It just felt like he got a little bit back. Like he got a little bit healthier compared to last week when he really struggled and it kind of felt like the hamstring was still bothering him. This week, it felt like he was good to go. He was like out there making some big physical tackles as the game went on. Loved what I saw of him. Noah Igbenogany, I said he could limit Amon-Ra St. Brown in this one. I'll have to look at the numbers again, but he had his moments. I felt like, again, for St. Brown, for Gibbs, even though both of them had over 100 yards, I felt the games could have been so much worse for both of those guys. So I feel pretty happy about that. And then Frankie Louvu, a big hit on Jared Goff on the pick 6 as well, letting him know he's there. So, I mean, just looking at these guys, man, so many players stepped up and delivered tonight. It is insane. It is insane. Other thoughts here as we wrap this one up. I mean, look at this team. Look at this team. All right, they're going to the NFC Championship game. The Washington Commanders are going to the. I mean, I'm just saying it. I'm like, I don't know when it's going to. I mean, I guess it's kind of hit me throughout this podcast episode, but I mean, the Washington Commanders are going to the NFC Championship, and It is so fun to watch this team play. So fun when 5 is under center and what he's able to bring to this team, just how much he opens up for the rest of the offense. And when 5 is under center, you're never out of it. And throughout this game, this team was up 10 points, 13 points, 17 points. Oh, up by 10 points at the half. I felt like, hey, this we need to score more. And yeah, ultimately we didn't have to. Actually, no, we did, because ultimately we scored 31 points in that first half. Lions finished with 31, but 14 points in that final quarter for Washington. I mean, this team was delivering. This team was delivering. They've been able to deliver all season long, and this one, even though it felt like it was close, it was not really close at the end. The Lions lost by 2 scores, by 14 points, which I guess is good, right? All while like, hey, close games down to the final play, all that. So I guess it was good having this one that, even though it felt like it was close because the Lions could strike at any minute, I mean, Jayden Daniels and this offense was able to deliver, keep a healthy gap for the entire second half. Yeah. Other stuff, I already mentioned 5 turnovers. They won the turnover battle. They won the time of possession, which was huge. It was something that Dan Quinn wanted them to do in this game. 33, pretty much 34 minutes of possession compared to the Lions 26. So great stuff from them. Not as much as the Falcons game, but still awesome. And one more shout out: the offensive line in this game. Tyler Biotish, Brandon Coleman, Nick Allegretti, Sam Cosmi when he was out there. Now he's hurt, though. We'll have to check back on that. Andrew Wiley. All right. Trent Scott, who came in and replaced Sam Cosmi. 0 sacks for Jayden Daniels. And it felt like for pretty much 80% of this game, Jayden Daniels had a clean pocket to throw from. He was rarely pressured. I'll have to look at the final numbers, but I know this pass rush is not crazy from Detroit, especially with Hutchinson hurt, James Houston hurt, and some other guys. But still, this offensive line did a great job against the pass rush and gave Jane a lot of time in the pocket to do things. And I mean, Jayden Daniels did things. He did things, and he delivered and helped them win this game. So one of the best performances from this offensive line that I've seen in the last few weeks, and they've kind of, shout out Jane for getting the ball out early as well. But this offensive line did a pretty good job, especially helping Jane buy time on a lot of these deep balls to Diami down the field, to Terry. It was huge. It was huge. So the offensive line had a great night. The only bad thing that happened in that was the injury to Sam Cosmi. We'll have to wait and see what that injury. We can probably find an update from Dan Quinn at some point soon, if not already by the time this episode comes out. But yeah, it is pretty crazy. For Cosmi's injury, we'll have to wait and see if he's going to be available next week. It would be huge if he is available next week, because no matter who Washington goes up against, LA or Philadelphia, 2 very good defensive lines with a lot of very good interior defensive linemen. So going to need those guards next week, even though Trent Scott did not do bad in this one as well. So good stuff from Trent Scott, but it'll be a very much better competition next week. So yeah, that'll pretty much do it. Final thoughts here for the Commanders' 45-31 win in the divisional round against the number 1 seeded Detroit Lions, guys. An upset, one of the biggest upsets, I'm saying it, one of the biggest upsets in NFL history in this game. It was something you do not see from a rookie quarterback, something you do not see. This team was able to win defensively. I know Dan Quinn has been able to preach he wants these turnovers, and Dan Quinn's defenses, they come with turnovers, and you expect them to create a lot of turnovers. They haven't this season, but in this game, they created 5 of them, and they scored off them as well. So it is awesome to see this team steal possessions from Detroit and was able to capitalize, and was a major reason why they won. So with that being said, next week, NFC Championship game, 3 p.m. next Sunday. It's going to be a fun one to watch, whether it be LA or Philadelphia. Again, I'm recording this before that game happens, so that'll be a fun one to watch either way. I am probably going to go get some sleep. It is 1:14 a.m. and I still need to move to my dorm at some point. So this team is keeping me in the DMV area for a while, but I need to get back to my dorm at some point. So that'll wrap things up here on this episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. This is what I think I'm going to do. I mentioned on the preview pod, if Washington won this game, which they did, I was going to be I didn't know what I was going to do with the Senior Bowl preview pod, because I know people like that, looking at the draft. I know a lot of Washington fans are kind of focused on this playoff run right now, but since I'll be in Mobile, Alabama in about a week and a half, I do want to do a preview pod kind of breaking down the guys there. So next pod will be out on Friday. The Friday pod will most likely be the Senior Bowl pod. And then I'll have a pod out on Saturday, the following day, talking about a preview for the NFC Championship game. I may have a Senior Bowl pod out on Thursday, so not entirely sure yet, but look for the Senior Bowl pod to come out first, and then the NFC Championship game preview pod to come out second at some point late next week. And then, of course, I'll have the pod out for the NFC Championship game afterwards as well. So that'll wrap things up here on Keeping Up with the Commanders. Thank you for watching or listening to another episode of Keeping Up with the Commanders. See you guys in the next one. Peace.